a formal part of the program. Most of the dignitaries have arrived now. Everybody that's meant to be here is now positioned. And we've seen a pretty impressive entrance by the armed forces there, a march that was received very well by the 32,000 people that are here at Loftus, Versfeld. And it really was quite
amazing synchronicity from the army band, the army troops. And we're going to see more of that. What I found so fascinating about it is how they march in unison, not a single step out of place.
That's what they do, though.
And I suppose that's what we're wanting to do here as a nation today, to come together as we watch the president-elect Cyril Ramaphosa be inaugurated, seeing that when people were going to the polls, they were essentially asking for not only a better life, but they're asking for opportunities for a better life and to play a big part in that. So that is also very evident in the crowd, Peter. I must tell the audience, I'm sure they saw at the arrival of former President Thabo Mbeki an eruption of excitement and the songs they were singing as well.
Yes, indeed. And going back to this army, I mean, as a young boy, we dream about these kinds of things, get very excited about it.
There we go.
Who's just arrived?
That is the car of President-elect Cyril Ramaphosa making his way to the stadium. And the build-up is heightening.
Yes, indeed. And Chief Justice Mogoeng will be handling the taking of the oath or affirmation, depending on what he chooses to do. And then he will become the 5th president of South Africa, the 4th to be inaugurated, and he'll begin a 5-year term, witnessed by thousands of people and millions across the country via television, listening on radio, and nowadays watching online as well from other parts of the world. Cyril Ramaphosa already, I think, well known around the world as president of South Africa. He's been at it for a while. But I guess this one will be his mandate that he now can own.
And Peter, the thing about it also is that now he has greater freedom, according to the pundits, to really put his mark on the kind of cabinet. He said as he was coming in, inaugurated a year ago, that he's looking for a leaner, meaner machine, greater efficiency with a greater delivery. And as we know, we've been hearing that there will be an announcement of that cabinet either tomorrow or on Monday, and we'll see if some of the portfolios will be merged for greater efficiency as well. But what is more important is, as we're seeing here from the crowds, the mandate from the people, which they will clearly hold him to. They've been very outspoken about that it's time that we have a government of the people, as we have an inauguration of the people here at the stadium.
Yeah, inauguration of the people. Cobus Ndletshana is with us, and he's helping us watch these pictures and these images. And, you know, one can't help but feel that President Ramaphosa finally makes it to office, but perhaps at the most difficult time to be a president. The mandate was not as large as in the past, but at the same time, the expectations even greater.
Expectations are enormous. The country has come through a very difficult period, and I think it calls for quality leadership. And I think if anyone, he is one of the few people who can take the challenge. He has all the credentials, he has the history, everything else I think that he has done has prepared him for this moment. I think he's the most qualified of all the previous presidents, given the diversity of his experience for this post.
Professor,
at this time.
Allow me to jump in here and just let in our viewers as they're seeing there the arrival of the car of the Deputy President of South Africa, Deputy President-elect David Mabuza. You're seeing from your visuals there, Penny, cultural icon in South Africa. And you would have seen from your screens as well the visuals of the presidential motorcade as it made its way here. So any moment now we will get the proceedings underway. And I must say, by all accounts, this program has been running very smoothly, because 10:55 was the time that they'd actually scheduled for it to start in earnest. And we're only just 3 minutes away from the moment when President-elect Cyril Ramaphosa enters the stadium.
Yes, indeed. So Deputy President David Mabuza has entered the stadium, and again getting rapturous applause from the 32,000 strong people. The stadium is now full. 4,500 VIPs and invited guests part of that 32,000. And we've also received a number of heads of states and heads of representatives from a number of countries beyond SADC, on the continent, South America, North America, and even some Europeans represented by a good number of our ambassadors here in the country. But we're all waiting now for Cyril Ramaphosa.
As we see the motorcade entering, this is entrance gate 2, Peter. This is where we're standing as we watched the arrival of the immediate family that would have been the sister-in-law of the president, Bridget Hadebe, alongside Minister Jeff Hadebe, and we saw, of course, Patrice Motsepe and his spouse, Dr. Precious Motsepe, arriving earlier on. So this is the entrance gate that President-elect Cyril Ramaphosa will enter, and that's any minute now, as you can hear from the crowd. It's literally minutes away. But I just wanted to say, Professor Ndletyana, that on the arrival of David Mabuza, of course, some very interesting political developments recently, him saying that he will withdraw from being sworn into office because of questions that have arisen that he feels must be dealt with before. What are we likely then to see? What is the meaning of this development?
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with the Integrity Commission findings, because if that were the case, then everyone implicated in those findings would not have been sworn in. There's something else here. There's more than what meets the eye here. Most likely, I think, is going to go to Luthuli House. The ANC still has a lot of internal problems to sort out, especially to make sure that the party does not turn against its own president, because the ANC has a tendency of doing exactly that.
And an announcement being made there.
Chief Justice Mogoeng is coming in, another very popular figure in South Africa. And interestingly, when he was being interviewed, if that's the word to use, controversy surrounded him, and it ended up being a public inquisition in terms of whether he was suitable. But in the end, he's won the hearts and minds of South Africans as being a fair and tough Chief Justice.
True that. I mean, he was not the most illustrious of the candidates at the time. He hadn't distinguished himself as such, and he was said to be close to Jacob Zuma. And of course, I think the one thing that aggrieved a lot of people was that he was chosen over Dikgang Moseneke, who was Deputy Chief Justice at the time, the most distinguished jurist, not only in terms of history, but also in terms of scholarship. Both things Mogoeng could not match, right? But he has grown to become a public leader. He might not be the best jurist ever, but he has assumed the role of being a public leader, moral leader, who doesn't shy away from dealing with serious moral issues. So at the end, it has turned out well.
And just as you're saying that, how many motorcycles can you count there, Peter? That's how many motorcycles you would get if you were to be president-elect. That's how many, more than 12, and all of those flanking the vehicles behind it, the motorcade of the presidential-elect Cyril Ramaphosa. And you can see an ANC flag being flying near the camera there. So the moment of truth is almost upon us, and we'll also take you through the technicalities of what we're about to see. We're talking, Peter, perhaps if you could just share with our viewers.
What you're seeing now, just before the ceremony starts, we're going to see some paratroopers that are going to come through. They're going to jump out of their helicopters, and it's going to be quite an impressive thing, actually. But we're joined now by Colonel Matebula, who is with the Air Force, and we've just seen 2 helicopters and they're carrying paratroopers. What are we expected to see?
Today, we expect to see firstly the salute flag post, which will take place sooner, probably around 11:20.
Okay, yes, you can go ahead.
There will be three. There will be 3 helicopters: the A109, the Eric's helicopter, as well as the Super Lynx, and all will be carrying the national flag as well as the South African National Defence Force flag.
All right, so they're going to jump out of the helicopters.
No, the paratroopers will be jumping out of the Kaza 212.
Okay, that's coming up shortly as well.
That's coming up shortly. They should be out of the
Perhaps,
about
Peter,
11:12.
let's allow the presidential car to enter the stadium and give you those visuals.
Your Majesties, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are now commencing with the program of the